Hey everyone, I'm Jared Fink, and this is Fretboard Music Theory. Today we're going to be building on the last video, which in that one we covered what the notes are for the open position, meaning if you just pluck a string without touching the fretboard, what note is that? So on the guitar, we have an E, an A, a D, a G, a B, and another E. Alright, so we know what the open notes are, but how in the world do you memorize what all the notes are up in here? That's a lot of frets to cover. Well, good news. I've got some tricks for memorizing these notes as well. Let's get into it. Okay, so the key to memorizing the notes on a fretboard, ironically, is to understand and to picture what the notes are on a keyboard. So let's check out a keyboard for a second. You'll notice if I start on middle C and I play all the white notes, we have what are considered your alphabetical notes. So we have a C, I have a D, an E, an F, a G, an A, a B, and then up to the octave and starting over with another C. All right, so that is what's considered the white keys on a piano. Now, if we look a little further on a piano, we'll notice that we were skipping some keys. All right, so back here on the keyboard, what we have that we skipped are what are considered black keys. So if I press these black keys, starting on the semitone above middle C, this would be considered C sharp or D flat. And if you're wondering, why does this black key have two names to it? Well, I answered that in my video about diatonic and chromatic scales. So be sure to watch that. I will put the link in the description for that video as well. Continuing on, our next black key would be a D sharp or an E flat. Our next black key is an F sharp or a G flat. Our next one is a G sharp or A flat. And finally, our last black key is the letter A sharp or B flat. Okay, so now how does that help us on the fretboard? Well, for me, it's been super helpful to visualize what the keys are of a piano and apply it to the fretboard. So here I'm going to walk my way up the fretboard playing only white keys. All right, so we have our first note is an E. The next one would be an F, followed by the G, followed by an A, followed by a B, continue with a C, up to a D. We're going to hit that octave with an E. Now, if you'll notice, every note that I said had no flat or sharp because I was simply playing the white keys. I wasn't playing the black keys. You can do the same thing walking up the strings. So here we have an E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, and E. Now, if your ear is good, you may have noticed that I was playing a major scale in there. That would be the C major scale. Now, I was starting on an E, so it might have been confusing. If we were to start on the C and then play all the white keys, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. So in other words, if you've already memorized the C major scale, you've come a long ways to knowing what the white keys on the fretboard are. Okay, so we've established what the white keys are on the fretboard. It's simply playing the C major scale and no other notes. Now let's tackle the black keys. And you can follow along on any of your instruments because again, it doesn't matter. They're all the same. They're all chromatic scales. Every fretboard is a chromatic scale. So what I'm teaching applies on all the fretboards. Unless, of course, you have a mountain dulcimer, which obviously has a diatonic scale and, sorry. So we're going to hit only what would be considered on the piano as the black keys. Now these are the notes that you would call a sharp or a flat. So on the mandolin, my first note is a G, so I'm actually going to skip it because I don't want to hit any white keys. I want to hit only what would be considered black keys. All right, so the first black key on the mandolin is going to be your first fret. It's going to be, we're just going to call it an A flat. Obviously, I could call it a G sharp, but I'm sticking with my flats right now. We've got an A flat. Our next black key is a B flat. Our next black key is going to be the 6th fret, and that one would be either C sharp or D flat. All right, followed by D sharp or E flat. And then we continue up to an F sharp or a G flat. Picture it in your mind. If you're thinking of a keyboard, notice the black keys. A fun little exercise would be to play the basic child songs that I'm sure many of you have learned when you play black keys on the piano. Let's try playing that on a fretboard and see if it sounds the same. Again, we're only using the notes that are the same as on a piano would be considered black keys. And feel free to play those at home and just mess around on the fretboard. That's really what this is. It's discovery of what notes you're playing. And what I've found is when you think about the frets as either white keys or black keys, it'll help to demystify what all the notes are on the fretboard. Because all you got to be thinking about is what are the actual white keys that have notes, and then what are the black keys that would have either a sharp or a flat associated with it. Hey, thanks so much for watching, and if you guys like this, please subscribe to the channel. Please share it with that one musician that you know desperately needs to hear all this. See you later.